No, he's not talking about anything. He came here just to look at our plan.
Yeah, the plan.
Oh, you're not doing something?
No,
No.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yep. Coco, if you could, just put the, this. There are two, there's a first plan. Unless you want to look at the existing.
That's the existing, we did that last meeting.
Yeah, we did, so we don't have to look at that again. We only go over here, what's easier here?
Sure.
That's good.
Okay, Coco, we go to the next image.
Oops, sorry.
Just, no, you got the. Actually, first. So we had two concepts that I walked you all through last meeting. I met with a couple of you at the site. Some of you were not able to make it, but anyway, this was one of the concepts that showed a lot of woodlands, this darker green area all around here, and then the meadow in between. The consensus among all of us who talked, my own personal feeling is if we can go back to the plan for this. There you go, okay. Is that we all like this one. This takes the meadow area, and it's actually quite an extensive meadow area. And actually there's a lot of meadow, sort of half-healthy meadow in here. This is where the evergreen trees are. The bluebird boxes are somewhere over here. Having a meadow here would sort of keep all the vegetation low here where they want to keep the visibility. Here's the parking area. So the only couple of things that there were suggestions about were, looks like there's an entrance here. We're not going to do that. There'll be no entrance here. And it looks like there'll be another way of getting in here. We won't do that. This is the mulch pile. And so this whole area here was going to be devoted to demonstration gardens. It's really, really a big area for demonstration gardens. So I'd even talked to Rusty beforehand. But what we could do is take the wooded area and extend it over this way, and then add more low shrubby areas here, and shrink this by at least by half. It may still be, I think, could be too much for demonstration gardens, but we can think about that. And then the only other things we may want to think about, and then one other thing, sorry, well, don't go to the previous slide, but the previous slide shows a trail actually going in here where the current sort of black locust trees are. So the question is, do you want to sort of have the trail in here, or do you want to have it follow along the road and then pick up here and go back this way? That's one question. And another one is somebody suggested that there could be another trail going across through here through the meadow. And then I think that would be it. The one good thing about having all these woodlands here is that I believe, can I say this? The property here may change hands.
yes.
The property next door up here may change hands. So we're going to probably, we haven't done anything in this area, but we'll keep it all as woodlands. And that will be sort of a buffer and a big woodland area between the two properties, which is great. And I think those were the main ideas that we talked about.
Picnic area.
Which is that?
Picnic area.
Oh, yeah, there could be a, probably shouldn't touch this. There probably should be a picnic area some here by the demonstration gardens. And then the other thing we could think about, can talk about with Rusty to get a price if we want to do this, is we have this loop, we could have an ADA loop that could also go out and connect with the demonstration gardens. So we could actually find out what the pricing would be for that. I think there are a couple different kinds of materials that you can use. And I know nothing about how much each one would be, but Rusty would know that and he could find out if that's something we were interested in doing.
Why couldn't we do it on all the trails?
Do what?
Do the ADA on all of them, the whole trail?
Well, you could look into it, but
Expensive.
Okay, because we're just trying to do, this is going to be like a this, we're going to try one out. We're not going to start doing, let's see how this works out to begin
I
with.
think, let's see what the pricing is.
Okay.
It's not cheap.
It's probably blacktop, right?
No, actually, I think they're different materials you can use.
You can use engineered, like cleaned and engineered wood chips can do them, because that's like what they do with the playgrounds with the kids.
Oh, it is?
It's considered AD, yeah, I seem to remember that when I was in school.
Okay.
We talked about that.
All right.
I
So
think
we'll,
it's, you can navigate it with a wheelchair or something like that, but it does have to be, it's gotta be cleaned and there's certain, it's not like the regular mulch that you would put down. I think it's a possibility. Not
so
something,
it wouldn't be something that we could use from the recycling center. It'd have to be
I wouldn't
something-
think so, no, you'd have to get it from
It's
someplace.
state certified.
Yeah, but it's gotta go through a process of being cleaned and find out, so I know that's what school had to do.
Okay. All right, anyway, but there are, I think there are a couple of kinds of materials that you can use. And we'll find out, we'll just take this loop, for instance, and just see what the pricing is for that.
Okay.
And there was one other thing, which I'm forgetting. I think that was pretty much it. So the next, the only thing about having a trail through here is I just want to be sure that we don't go near the bluebirds. We stay away from them. But we can try it and see. So the next step is Rusty will put together a pre-final plan. So, which will actually take into account all the things I just mentioned that we'll take out, some of this and this, putting the table, shrinking this area. We'd have to think a little bit more about what the demonstration gardens would be. He would like to use plants that actually come from, that are going to be going in here. The next plan would actually list all the plant species for all the different areas. It would also designate pretty much how we could sort of try to pick areas over different, like each year, pick an area and add more plants to those areas. However, it depends upon how well we do with the invasives as we go along. So as I've mentioned before, from about here all the way into here to here, the mugwort is pretty bad. So we're going to be tackling that. And as I mentioned the last time, we'll do it trying 3 different methods. One is with laying down cardboard, using the mulch to cover it. Rusty said they have very sturdy tarps, which we would put down, and then those tarps would be covered. And another one is to actually use a machine, trying to like in the name, a piece of farm equipment to actually turn it over. He's had some success with that. So actually it'd be good to try all 3 and just use this sort of an experiment to see which method works best with mugwort. And that's pretty much it. Any questions?
Tim, let's go to we don't, looks like a lot of trails. And obviously we have to maintain this, and obviously the highway, Brian Sherman and his crew will be doing some of this work as far as trails are concerned. There was some question about the size of.
Oh, yes, the width of the trails.
Right, exactly.
So I think, somewhere I think Rusty indicated, primary trail 4 foot wide, secondary trail 4 foot wide. 4 foot is really not wide enough,
Wider, yeah.
so it's got to be at least 6 feet. So that I certainly will request. I mean, we could make it, if 6 feet seems less wide, we can make it 8 feet.
Is that because of ADA requirement?
No, actually, I think we don't want people coming up against brush and stuff. I forget how wide the trails are.
They're about, the ones that are in there now are at least 6 feet wide now. Because I cut them in there and I did it with the machine. Machine's got I first opened it up with the bucket on that machine, and that's a 6-foot bucket, so they're at least 6 feet now.
Yeah, they've got to be at least 6 feet.
Yeah,
And it's really to keep, give people some distance from the ticks.
Ken, you put the mulch down, you folks put the mulch down in the playground area?
In the top lot.
We do, we get it from a state certified mulch producer.
Okay.
Okay, it just costs quite a bunch of the other mulch.
I was gonna ask that
All
question.
it is one type of wood, oak, I believe, that doesn't, and it's screened out and so it just chunks of oak that is so-called state certified.
So how do weeds and all that stuff, do you put something down before that, underneath it, before you put?
No, it's just layer upon layer of mulch.
So is there weeding that has to take place in those?
A little bit, not much.
How much? And you do that?
Yeah.
Okay. How much of a problem, how much of a, how complicated would this be? If we were to do what we're looking at here, I'm looking for your input in terms of what are we doing here?
A trail system with wheelchair access, I'm not, and correct me if I'm wrong, but usually put a base down before we put mulch on it, so it would have to be a little bit more, other than mulch. It would, something like, we've been talking about this walking path on New York Avenue for a long time, an ADA walking path of some sort, so it would have to be either crushed concrete, stone dust, to make a hard surface, and then put certified mulch on top of that and make it look like a natural. So it's not, so it will stay, firm and,
You've done some, you have some cost analysis on that at all? Is what?
no, but that's usually what,
I'm pretty sure that's what we did when we did the school playground, not the top lot. When I was on the school board, I'm pretty sure there's a subsurface underneath that engineered, basically cleaned mulch that they put on top of that for the kids. It's also ADA compliant, so.
So, Tim, can you just show where we're talking about this? We're not going through the whole, it's just a little simple loop, right?
This is just a, suggestion.
Yeah.
It's, if we do, the trail already started through
Right.
here,
Right.
going around. And I think, Brian, it currently goes up to the road.
it does, yeah, it goes down the road and then comes back.
Loops down again, and we kind of have stopped. But, so it just really, you could take the trail that's already existing, widen it a bit, and then just add this
Come back.
loop here.
Just one little small.
You could do a small loop,
Okay, all right.
or not. I mean, you could do you could go up this way, do a turnaround, and you come back, but.
But it isn't part of it with the different types of plant material in each area. The purpose is to get people to experience it.
Yes, so,
Which
yes.
I think I'm the one who recommended the path coming back from the far corner,
yes, you did,
because,
here.
it gets people more access to what's going on there.
Are we talking about the ADA or we're talking?
No, just in general.
Yeah, just in general, okay.
Yes, so yes, Stu has suggested having something coming back here. Although too, I mean, this is, what is 9? 9 is native meadow. Well, I'm not sure why 10 and 9 are specified as being different, but it's essentially a meadow.
Yeah.
It's there, so it's really, coming through here, you're not really at a different vegetation experience, whatever the word is. But, here, I mean, for the ADA loop, you could, because you've got 3 different sort of things going on here and something else going on here. So, somebody could run into 4 different types of experiences there.
A question about the evergreens. You're talking about leaving them where they are, not moving them?
No, we have to, they're too close.
They are, because those.
They're all too close.
The evergreens on the other side, the great big ones, are all growing into each other, and
I think
there's
over
actually 2 or 3 of them that are dead inside there.
Yeah, we'll have to do something about, I forget where they are. What's the,
They're about where you.
yeah, 8, right, well,
No, by the number there, I
Yeah.
think.
I think these are the,
Small.
Those are the small ones. This-
okay, here are the existing Christmas trees, and here are the ones you're talking about, Brian.
Oh,
Number
okay, I
8.
get you. I see. All right.
Yeah. So, we're gonna have to thin out those, as we talked about.
Right, if you leave them in a bag, they'll start growing into each other eventually.
Yeah.
So
Suck each other
did we
out.
miss the opportunity of moving them at this
No,
point? No,
no.
still this time?
I'm still waiting for Beaver Tree to give me a price on moving them. He came over, we met last month, and he was gonna send me an estimate. He never did. I called him back and never answered my phone call.
Just get someone else.
And then, yeah, these are the ones I think you're talking about, which are.
Those are the big ones.
And they've had vines growing them, and I think 2 also, yeah. So, I remember thinking they were not in great shape.
If you cut the ones that are dead inside there out, they'll, and then open it up a little bit, they'll be okay. I mean, they are too close together, but
Yeah,
you really, those you won't be able to move. But at least they'll be good for a while.
okay. And I forget where the white pines are, or the big white pine is somewhere in here,
Yeah, it's close to that old road.
and that's staying. I'm not gonna cut that down.
So the corner piece here is going to be there'll be nothing high here to
No,
concern. Right.
no, because in the previous plan, Rusty had sort of actually had areas that sort of disguise or border, I should say, taller vegetation that sort of borders parts of the areas. And we really don't want that here at all. We really want, so what you see right now, there's some existing grasses that have dried out from the winter, and they're about this high. And everything will end up being about that high. It will not be this high. It'll really be about waist high or lower. So, and I think, Brian, even here it shows the meadow going all the way out to the road, but I assume you're gonna wanna keep the mowed area. Is that what you want to keep doing? Because right now you've mowed an area about, I don't know how big it was, 12 feet, 15 feet from the road.
I think it's a lot better to keep that, meadow you're talking like this.
That's gonna be about that
So if
high.
it was like that, along that whole stretch along the side of the road would be fine, so people can actually see around the
Yes.
corner.
So in other words, the meadow could come all the way out to that area. And then here we'd have the demonstration gardens, and then, those would also be low, they're not gonna be high. One thing I have to talk to Russ about is the demonstration gardens, if it's gonna include any kind of shrubs. It won't include trees, but would there be like a shrub garden? But again, if that was going to, we wouldn't have that go all the way up to the end of the road, I assume, right?
Yeah, just leave enough room in the corner, so people can see.
Yeah.
that corner.
Yes, there would be something here so it wouldn't be blocking this area either.
So Tim, can this be broken up into phases, and can we
Yes.
delineate so
Yes.
that we, the issue is people look at this thing and then there's pressure to, let's get in there and mow everything down. So I think, can we cut this up into some way
That's
so
what's
that,
gonna happen.
the Brian and his people know what to do there? Okay, what we're working on.
Oh, okay, so there are gonna be two things we're gonna get. One is we're gonna get a plan that's gonna break it down into phases
Right.
in terms of planting. But then we're also getting a management plan for the whole area. And that's gonna be for decades of management. So that, not to be morbid early in the morning, but when none of us are here, someone else can pick up the book and figure out what to do.
What about the locust trees?
So the locust trees, as we know, because they had the vines on them, and because locust trees just generally are unstable, sometimes they're really great, they last for a long, long time. These trees were impacted by the vines,
Yeah.
which actually held them up. Made them grow extra tall and thin. So, Brian has already had to remove some that have fallen, since it was clear that the
Yeah,
area.
you got any type of 30, 40 mile an hour wind, there's a couple going over.
That's area 13, right? Locust trees?
The locust trees actually start like here, and then they just go all the way through here. There are some good trees in here, which will stay, but we're not gonna go in and cut down trees. The plan is to actually get native trees, well, locust is a semi-native tree, not to this area, but start planting other trees as in the understory, and as they get bigger, we can take out locust trees. And the idea would be, I forget who I talked to, it might have been Mike Reiter. I think he has does he have a mill? Either of you know?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, and I think he likes black locust. Anyway, if he doesn't, there are other people who do, and so we can actually have this wood then be reused and built versus just.
Make benches out of it.
And it's a good wood for a lot of things. Anyway, so yes, the idea would be to gradually phase those out.
And the path road will be opened up left as it is here, going through all the way to West Neck Road, right?
Oh, so that's another question. So do you want to have an entrance? I mean, people could, there's an arrow here. So do you want to have a way to get in here and a way to get in here? My only concern is people parking here or there versus parking here.
Right.
But somebody could come and walk.
You can walk through.
They could come and walk. And so, like we do with the other preserves, we have designated parking.
Right.
So that people know where they're supposed to park. And we could actually specify not to park here and here.
By the by, talking about parking, the people that live across the street, the gray corner house, they have excess guests and they park their cars all along there. I took a photo the other day and there were 4 cars there.
That's here?
No, that's West Neck down there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where they park them. So I think we have to send them a note.
On the West Neck side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, that's where you'll be putting your plantings.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know their name, but maybe Doug does.
I don't know. Because they made that parking area that we made to take out because it was totally illegal.
It changed hands recently, so I didn't know if they were still.
Town no parking signs maybe, right?
They made their own parking area bigger, but they must have had a big party because whatever, there were 4 cars parked across this, on the preserve.
We're gonna have those no parking signs there pretty soon anyway, right? Are they still there?
There's no
Did you
sign.
go down that far?
No, I couldn't remember. I know they go to the corner.
Any input, I mean,
Sending out the Christmas trees, where would they go? Are we gonna, I know we talked about putting some to
Back.
Crab Creek property to establish the
party line.
property line.
I would like to see some of them go along Shore Road or West Neck Road at the Goat Hill, where we planted some, I don't know how many years ago. Some of them didn't make it. And the idea was to have more of them there, and as they grew up, they would keep the golf balls from going across the street.
I'd like that. I'd like that.
It sounds like a joke, but it's actually true, because if you look at the houses,
Okay.
you can actually see the holes in the siding of the
I've
house.
hit a few cars.
Brian, does the town have how do you water?
I have a truck that we go around.
Like a tanker truck that you use for watering? Okay.
So that would be something I would like to see, just because we didn't quite finish that project. And the idea was that the evergreens would go along the road, and there's a lot of other stuff, really junky stuff that's all snagged up in the, about to go in the wires and stuff along there. And Jay's idea was actually clean out some of that stuff, and then the evergreens would sort of take their place.
Does that seem like a good plan?
I mean, everything should be cleaned up first
That's what I would say.
before you plant trees. I mean, because it is pretty scraggly up that whole road on that side. And then at the same time, like we have, like down the 8th, there's that fence that runs along the whole 8th, 7th and 8th fairway.
Yeah.
The walls don't run into the woods, we can then do the same thing so they don't fall off into the road. So you have to look at that.
7.
Okay. It's a very dry area.
Or between
Very
it.
dry.
Yeah, you gotta water the heck out of those trees.
Yeah, that was the problem. It's really, really, really dry.
Yeah, well, you also have that sandy soil there, not that, you know, water doesn't last very long. You know, the place cooks, you see it in the sun, you know, in
It's really,
summer.
and it's really sandy soil.
It can be tough.
Maybe a few trees between the 7th and 8th to delineate the two holes too. You know how it's all,
That would be up to the board up there.
I mean, one thing I don't know, I don't know what species these are and how big they get.
Well, as you see, since we've cleared that property, they've taken off. Once you open them up like that, they're growing like crazy.
Yeah. I just don't know, you know, if they're gonna get tall enough to do, you know, higher balls from going across the street.
Oh, I think they will eventually. I think they're blue spruces, those trees. I've
Yeah.
got spruces planted all down my driveway. They're 25 feet tall. They're getting big.
Yeah.
If they're given room to grow, but I mean, again, growing there might be a challenge for them too.
I mean, the only good thing, Ken, is that these trees have been here for a while, so they're kind of used to whatever conditions they are. It's
Right.
not quite as sandy here, but the trees that were planted there came from, I think, Pennsylvania, and they were grown in clay. So I think it was just also, aside from the fact,
Very kind of low.
right, it was a transition for those roots, which maybe these wouldn't be as bad, but I don't know.
So Tim, what's the next step?
So the next step is, Rusty is ready to talk to me this week. We'll go over, taking out some things. I just want to talk to him about, we have a sort of a trail going through here. Do we just want another one here? Again, I'm just concerned about the bluebirds and how much, I think the boxes are somewhere around here, so, you know, the trail would have to be sort of, I think, sort of close to the one we have, I think.
That doesn't make sense then.
No.
And the wet area will remain, right, in the center? We're not
Yeah,
changing
the,
elevations, okay?
So number 7 is where the topography sort of dips in a little bit. It's not actually a wetland. If you got a lot of rain in the spring, it'd be kind of excessively moist. And so we would like to keep that, not fill it in, not make the topography higher, but keep it the way it is. And then plant material there that's more sort of wet feet oriented versus some of the stuff that's gonna be drier ground.
So when you talk to, I guess, the architect, I mean, obviously, we want to get rid of that mulch eventually. We
Well-
want to spread it.
Well, what we would use this for, Brian, is for the mugboard areas, we put down the cardboard and the tarps. We would take that mulch and put it on top of the cardboard and the tarp. And the areas that have cardboard, the cardboard just stays in place and you plant through it. And then for the tarps, unfortunately, yes, the mulch has to come off. I mean, I have to talk to Rusty, just find out more about mechanically how that works. You take all the mulch off, take the tarp off, and you can't leave the tarp there. Just mechanically how that works.
There is a problem with that. The mulch is no longer really mulch.
I know, it's one of
It's
the.
turning topsoil. I mean, I just started flipping it
Yeah,
3 weeks ago. It was a little too wet to keep doing it, but it's breaking down. It's topsoil almost.
that's actually fine for the cardboard.
Okay.
I think because it's easier to actually plant through, if we plant plugs, it's actually better for plug versus having mulch, which is, there's really nothing there for the roots to grab onto. There's too much airspace. You have mulch.
Ken, when we went down to Ned's Lane, you were working down there removing bamboo, okay? Does it pay to try to remove, at least to get the bigger pieces of the mudworts out prior to just putting cardboard over it and doing it that way? Does it pay to, do you get a jump on it if you get the bigger pieces out?
I don't know much about mugwort personally. I mean, if they're talking about eventually, it sounds like they want to rototill it or do something to get it removed. I mean, we don't have a rototiller, but we do have that. I do have a root grapple that can rip everything out and maintain as much soil as possible. But I don't know if it, like when you pull it out, if it continues to seed and spread. I don't know. I don't know much about it, but I'm just saying we have capability to do something like that if you want.
The problem with mugwort is as soon as you try to pull it out or do anything with it mechanically, it breaks down to all these little rootlets. All those roots survive and they send up more mugwort.
So by disturbing it, you create more?
It's not so much you create more, I mean, you can, but in a case like this, it's so thick that I'm not sure how, again, I'll talk to Rusty about this again. So I want to know more about, I don't think it was using a rototiller, it was some other piece of equipment that he said he could actually go down and then essentially put that whole bottom part on the top, like flipping it over to expose the mugwort. I need to ask him more about that and how that worked.
Is there any conversation about mowing the whole thing to make it presentable so that you can then address this?
No, I mean, yes. And so there are a couple of reasons not to mow it right now because you've got all this, the dry grass that you see, it's broom sedge, which is a native grass. And we actually want to keep those visible because in this area, you've got a combination of, I don't know what the percentage is, you've got a combination of good stuff and not good stuff. And so the idea here is to repress the bad stuff and try to get the good stuff. Plus those grasses still have seed heads in them, which you want to spread. So, and in terms of presentable, there's something we, again, everybody has to understand, this is not a garden. This is not a park. So when you have a meadow, you don't treat it the same way where you just cut it at a certain point. I mean, you do cut it at a certain point, but it's a seasonal thing and it has to do with trying to encourage the good stuff and repress the bad stuff. But right now, we'd like to keep those grasses visible so we can find them easily.
And why don't you just, will you expand on what you're talking, is that?
Well, I mean, I
We're just dying to cut something.
Well, we are in a sense. There's a part of me that takes it semi-personally because I've been involved in this thing from the jump, and as far as the clearing of it, and I feel like, we cleared all this stuff, we did all these things, and then we haven't maintained it moving forward. I can tell you right now, if you walk into that place and you go around those pines where I have maintained it, you could see what that place could look like and that's from and it looked all like it does now in spots around all those pines. But, I understand you might not want it to be a complete meadow, and I get it, and you have different plants.
Well, your definition of a meadow and Tim's definition of a meadow were two different.
Well, I mean, I just feel like, I feel like in the interim, until you figure out a way that you're going to do this, I mean, we started to do it, and Tim was with me last year. We started to mow it and get it all down again, and then, we ran into the obstacle of the turtles and and all this stuff, and now we're operating out of that window again,
Right.
where the turtles are gonna be coming back. So I don't know, I just feel like I feel like to get it to a place where you can see it, you've got a lot of vegetation in there as it is. I mean, and then that's just my 2 cents on it. I mean, I want to see it look better than it does. It looks like, to me, it looks like I started something and didn't finish it.
Yeah, but that's actually okay.
Right. No, I get it. I mean, I understand, but literally on like the Nordstrom Parkway side, we started it and it's coming back and looking okay for what it is now, but now we've got this other piece where it's not.
Yeah, I know, and I know what you're saying, but we are, when we get ready to deal with the mugwort, we are gonna have to mow that again.
Can I ask a crazy question? I'm sorry, I've never been in on the meeting with you at all. But has Mike Glaspia ever been tapped for any of this?
He was one of the original
Yes.
members.
Okay, I just know, just because when I was on the board at Mashamif with him, I mean, we went through a whole, series of years of bringing back, meadows and the oak forest and all this kind of stuff. And I just, the guy, he's well of knowledge when it comes to pricing.
No, actually, Ken, when I had to send out an RFP to a lot of people, and he was one of the people that I included.
Oh, great, good.
Yep. But actually, there was they did not submit a proposal.
Okay.
I know what you're saying, and the reason why we reached out to a professional habitat ecologist is because this is a big area. This is way bigger than I can chew on. So we really needed outside help with this. And, we're learning as much as you are. And that's the way it's going to be going forward.
The only difference is they get the phone calls.
No. I understand that,
Yeah,
but as I said to
I know.
Brian,
Part of it is explaining to folks
Exactly.
what's gonna happen,
Right.
which we talked about the other day when we were there, like putting something in the
In
kiosk.
the kiosk.
kiosk.
Yeah.
So,
In fact, that, whatever this looks like, that could be in there.
Yeah,
So-
that would be helpful, I would think.
Yeah.
Future site of, future site.
Well, with a little bit of verbiage, yes, there's gonna be tall areas and short areas, and it's, we're trying to create different habitats. And
so actually, Tui mentioned this when we were out there, and that is you've got the kiosk here, and we can either take the current conditions map and put that up, and then I can write a whole bunch of stuff underneath it saying, this is the current conditions, this is what we're, doing. We're gonna have a final plan shortly, which we'll then post and we'll explain even more. We can go into the whole phase thing. We can do that now. So there's something up there. And then we'll just keep updating it as we go along, so that people do know.
here's another question. Like, should CPF or should this specific preserve have its own Instagram page or something? You can tell people, go there and see it, because,
Oh, you can put it on the town website,
well, okay.
The Q codes.
QR codes. Yeah, you can put a town QR code on there.
But so if somebody sees you in IGA and says, what's going on? Go look at this and you'll be able to see it and explain it all to you. So you don't have to spend an hour and a half talking to everybody and arguing about turtles and I don't like tall grass.
Yes, so the town does have an Instagram page, which we could make use of. We've never really made use of it. So we could do that.
Because this is really very different than what we've ever done before on a property.
This is the first time the CPF committee in the town has done something like this.
Right.
It's also extremely visible compared to the
Yeah.
other.
Yeah, well, that was one of the
Yeah.
reasons.
You drive around and you see it from 3 different roads, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think it's a great idea. That's, as much information as possible, I think is good. I mean, I don't get the phone calls yet, but Brian gets them. And so,
We were both there that day.
yeah, no, absolutely.
I don't want to go into detail.
Right.
And
Some came running over.
It was traumatic. I'm just recovering.
people,
This is somebody you all know and love?
So I have another question. Does it make sense that Ryan and Ken participate in some of these conversations with Rusty and you so they get
Yeah, I mean,
a bigger
At
picture?
some point, Rusty will address, I think probably by Zoom. He can address the whole committee and everybody. I think right now he just wants to put together something. I mean, I have an idea of a lot of the plans I'd like to see, and see if Rusty and I agree. I don't know if all of you can help with the plants part of it.
Tim, is there gonna be any, when will planting begin?
It's supposed to begin now, isn't it? It was supposed to begin now, wasn't it?
Yeah, Rusty's a little afraid of planting, like in May or June, because of last year, it was so dry. And I agree that we don't want to plant some stuff like plugs, let's say, and then we lose them all. So I think we're looking more towards fall for planting. But, we're gonna be dealing with this mugwort as soon as we can get started. So that's something that we will be doing, and then we'll start sort of looking at some of these healthier areas to see where we could start doing stuff sooner than later, meaning the fall. Probably planting plugs. There's also, you can plant seed in the fall. But I can't speak for what you would tell me right now.
So the aesthetic piece though, how do we do that? How do we improve the aesthetics, okay, of, since we're not doing anything, or potentially there'd be no plantings until the fall. What Ken is suggesting, what can we do just to make it, if we're not doing things in these areas, is there, what's the downside of just getting in there and making it look
Well,
better?
I guess,
That's, I guess, the question.
it's a
that we're
difference
asking.
of opinion. Because, for me, I love seeing the grasses here right now. That doesn't seem like, it doesn't seem unkempt. It doesn't seem, to me, it's just, that's the way a meadow looks. And as Rusty said, God doesn't come in every year and mow, a wild meadow. You have the dead grasses, they stay, the new grass comes up, and that's the cycle.
There's a meadow up on Nordstrom further north on the right-hand side. They cut that down completely.
Is this the one by the Brandensteins? By Crab Creek?
Yes. Not by Crab Creek, it's north. It's going north, okay, towards Kissing Rock, okay, where often, it's on the right-hand side, it's a meadow there.
Oh, yeah, by the,
Talking about Fowl property?
no,
No, before that,
It's the one that.
on the corner that. Yeah.
Yes, correct,
Sandwalls,
Yes.
He cuts that down.
It's that old farm that's there.
Yes. He does.
But it's all meadow.
It's all meadow, but it's
Well established.
been there a long, long time. And you do cut a meadow at some point. But the reason we want to keep this again this year is because we want to keep track of where those grasses are. If we cut all of this down, it's going to be harder for us to find all those grassy areas that we want to.
Could we mark it?
It's just so much easier for.
How about you put up a sign that says, we know some people don't like this, but
Okay.
there's a purpose behind this.
It's just so much easier. We're gonna end up putting blue flags everywhere. Is that attractive? Or stakes. That's gonna be even less attractive. I mean, I shouldn't say less attractive because I think it's attractive the way it is. I think, Gordon, it really has to be education that people, in the fall, when this doesn't get cut, when most people put their gardens to bed, this is what it's gonna look like. And we really, this is something I've brought up several times for this project. If we all need to be on board with the fact that a meadow is not a home garden, it's not a park. And it's part of the education.
How about something like this? Since it's the community, we're in the community of Silver Beach and the surrounding areas. Would it be worthwhile to do something on a Saturday as CPF and do a little talk like this on site?
I can.
I'm saying,
Yeah, I can
reach
do-
out to the community so that they,
I can do, they have first of all, Silver Beach has a really great website. So we can actually, whatever I write up fairly soon for the kiosk, I can do as something to send to Silver Beach, and they just put it on their website also. But I'm happy to, anybody who wants, if a group wants to
What do you
come,
think?
Yeah, I can talk to Doug.
um,
In fact, I wanted to get Silver Beach people to help with planting.
yeah, so that's another thing, is that, for instance, when we lay down the cardboard and do this stuff, it'd be great to get volunteers involved. I mean, one thing we do have to be aware of is that where it's more vegetated, there are ticks. So, we just need people to, we need to be aware of people volunteering and doing things where they're not going to be overly exposed to ticks.
Oh, yeah, certainly I can't explain all this, but I can ask Doug if we could pick a day. But usually you come and talk to the, well, you talk to us at our annual meeting.
I did.
And we get a fair number of people there.
When are you doing your annual meeting? That
We
was
do it in,
July last year.
was it July?
Yeah,
Okay,
it was like July in the 20s.
yeah, so. Oh, yeah, that other thing is like a picnic thing, that's September.
How about just making it an event, meaning
Yeah, we could do that separate.
we publish an event that we're, so people know what we're doing. I don't, we're here at 8:30 in the morning. We have a website, but I'm just.
I'm happy to do whatever, as long as we get a group. What I don't want to do is to do dribbles of groups. Like do 6 different groups of the same group. We do it, I want as big a group as we can get and do it.
Can we take we have money to take an ad in the paper? Come join us to find out what the meadow will look like.
Well, is this for Silver Beach or is it for the whole
Well,
island?
that's not,
Everybody.
Silver Beach, we have a contact, but if you want more people there, then we could put an ad in the paper.
Then we could organize
We
volunteers.
need an ad, or can we get an article?
A sign up.
We'll have articles in the paper.
We just
What do we do?
Yeah,
you put something in the letters column.
right.
That's the most well-read part of the.
It is.
That and
Well, that and the police blotter.
yes, that's first.
Like the police blotter too.
Well, you'll have to get drunk, so.
Yeah,
Yes. I'll be arrested.
drunk through,
Yep, that's it.
All right, so I'll talk to-
Marcy is really, really anxious to jump into this, so I'm gonna talk to him this week.
Why don't you draw up on this map and just circulate it so everybody, if we
You sent it to us,
no,
right?
I mean, the trails that we don't have, you're looking for a trail?
No, but we just,
Okay,
I think he's gonna discuss it first.
okay. All right. Thanks, Tim.
when do you think you might want to do this?
zoom again.
Your presentation?
I can see the chart better.
No, I meant month-wise.
Oh, month-wise. It doesn't, I mean, it could be June,
Yeah, I was gonna think after Memorial Day.
yeah, after Memorial Day.
I think that's a good idea. You can show people exactly what the plan of the property.
And actually, we have to wait to actually, we have to have at least the final plan.
Yes.
So our next meeting is in June 12th?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, so by June 12th, we will have,
that plan.
we'll have that plan, so we can talk about it,
And you can write an article,
and then we can,
advertise.
then we'll actually have something concrete that we can talk about for everybody.
So we would do something in the month of
We can do something in the month of June.
June, right?
I guess we could also put up a display at the Green Expo, right?
Oh, definitely have that.
That's in August, okay?
Yeah, well, that's another opportunity for people,
Okay.
Yes. We'll have the kiosk,
Right.
we can do articles, we can do all sorts of things.
Yep.
Which we will do.
Brian, anything else, or just trying to keep you in the
No, I
loop?
think that's good. Obviously for us, it's mowing the properties, not just that property, but like Crab Creek property. Trying to do some of the mulch. I know that all that mulch is probably too much to spread on that property. We were talking about taking some of the Crab Creek property down the street and spreading it there, if that was a possibility. since it's, so close.
I mean, I thought ideally you'll be able to keep that mulch that's there. You won't have to take it anywhere. We'll just use it on the property.
I just don't see him using all that. That's a lot of mulch. Or soil, let's put it that way.
Well, I mean, if you,
If you think we're gonna use it there, then fine.
I have no idea.
What is Rusty saying at this point? Should we hold it there or should we get rid of it? It's been there for a
I
long
don't
time.
know. We're gonna use it. We're gonna put down cardboard. We're gonna put down tarp. And we're gonna take all that mulch, and you've gotta have like this much on top of it. So a lot of that mulch is gonna stay on the property. 'Cause the mugwort is a big area.
Big.
And it's multi-year. It's a multi-year process to get rid of it.
Yes.
Well, it is, although I was talking to Chris DiOrio because they had a mugwort problem that Kelsey used for their business. And I forget how long it took them to get rid of it, but they got rid of all of it and they used cardboard. And he actually would like to he's interested in sort of being involved in this getting rid of the mugwort process. But I think if you have the tarp, I think it actually goes much quicker. Because you actually don't have any moisture getting to the plants. So, by the fall, we could have areas that are mugwort free. But I don't want to predict.
Okay.
Over here, we made a little trail from the property at St. Gabe's Meadow to the road.
Oh, great.
To Fox and the Meadow, Fox and,
Oh, great.
And we had talked about a parking area there of some sort, or we just,
we're gonna go on the curb. We're not gonna have designated. We'll just use, yeah. It's just more maintenance and everything else, okay? But I think we should put a sign or something maybe over, or someplace there should be a sign or something. I hate signs because we got too many signs, okay? But,
For the trail going.
well, yeah,
Two
yeah.
properties.
But we'll have to include that on the QR code. And obviously, the maps have to be adjusted to reflect that little space there as far as walking. This is the piece where, you know where we're talking about, right?
Vaguely.
Where the barbecues are done, it's right along Pantheon,
Right.
okay? We're only about, I guess, what was it, maybe 500 yards, something like that between,
not very long.
not very long, but it was a path going through the brambles so that people could walk down the state road
Right.
all the way down to the water of Cockles Harbor, okay? Because that's all state land that is open to the public. And it's a nice walking area.
And there's a beach.
There's a beach at the end.
Did you finish?
Brian, that parking area at Cackle Hill, where it's really, really muddy there.
Yeah, we gotta do something with that.
Did you,
Did you put down mulch on this connecting path?
No.
It's just cleared out stuff.
Road path that will, every time we mow the field, we can just,
Okay.
What's the preferred path for your equipment? Is it 6 feet? What, is there anything that, I'm just trying to figure out what,
mower, a typical mower is 72 inches.
okay.
And the skid steer is what, 4 feet?
No, skid steer's wider, skid steer's almost, it's almost 5 feet, 6 feet, that mower, I mowed it with that first, and then I used the big wing mower that we have now to open it up.
So that's all done down there in Cackle Hill?
No, well, Cackle Hill is done, as far as for right now for you, it's done, yeah, I did that first, I did the grapple bucket through there and took all the stuff out.
Okay.
Removed a lot of those large logs that were down. I took out there was some dead cedar trees on that one corner, so I took some of that stuff out. As far as, I kind of logged them all together and piled them, and then I brush mowed the whole perimeter that I did. So it's very smooth walking path for people now. And I don't know, if we've got more to do down there eventually.
the white property, did you finish that parking area?
We're gonna work with Corazini.
Yep.
To see, and get a price from him to do that parking area. Well, he's there now doing the road and the drainage.
Okay.
It's really no access there right now, okay?
It's muddy.
Anything else?
We used to mow Crab Creek property. We haven't done that in a while. We usually mow it twice a year, I think.
If you're gonna do it, you probably should,
What about the bird nesting that's going on?
yeah, I'm thinking, and also, I don't know when the box turtles emerge.
The other thing, we made it kind of like a walking path through there as well.
Through the meadow?
Through the Crab Creek property. We made a couple of paths through there.
You're talking about the meadow, or you're talking about the wooded land,
The meadow, Crab Creek.
right?
Maybe at this point, why don't you just maintain the trails that you made? Leave the rest? Is that okay?
I'll have to find them because they grew up.
It's all grown up.
It's all grown up now.
The same
We'll have
height
to
now.
establish that again.
Okay.
That's how long it's been since we mowed.
If you want, when you go there, I can go there and just walk ahead of it.
I would say,
Mark Mobius?
yeah, why don't you just, if you want it mowed, just let me mow it. If you don't want it mowed, that's fine. But you don't have to muddy it all up. You don't have to go out there and walk in front of me, Tim. If I'm like at a snail's pace with the thing. If I see a turtle, I'll pick them up and move them and get them out of there.
Okay.
I mean, only if you want it mowed. If you want it mowed, I'll do it. Because nobody's gonna come approach me with the giant blade spinning and tell me to halt and cease and desist. So, but it's up to you guys. I mean, I'm just doing the best to do it. But
I know.
we don't want to, if you want it, we can do it. But it hasn't been mowed, and we did usually regularly mow that thing at least twice a year, Crab Creek.
Spring, fall.
Yeah.
And this is normally the time before,
Yeah, we're a little past that, but.
Yeah, normally be like, March would be ideal.
Can we make a date for like late fall sometime or?
I think a stink is gonna be made about the turtles.
I think so too.
I think you better leave it.
About establishing the trail that was through
If you want to find the trails and do the trails, do the trails.
there. Somebody was taking a bunch of kids down there and they were doing
Oh,
a
right,
field
Mark.
project down there.
Mark Morris was doing that biology.
Biology.
Do the trails.
Right.
And you're talking about the trails in the meadow or in the woods?
In the meadow, there was actually a couple of trails
Right.
that you really couldn't see unless you were
Right.
walking.
is it identifiable now, the trails?
No, everything's grown up. You
No,
can't
it's all
see it.
grown. I mean, we can make the trail, whatever, He made it like Mark had requested it a while back when we did it. It was, it was from the little parking area.
Right.
And we kind of just made sort of a loop that it sort of meandered through it and then came back to the parking area for him, so he could.
Why don't we do that right now?
We can make
Do
the
like a
trail.
Halloween,
Yeah, like a,
Halloween
maze.
maze or something.
I never saw the trail myself, but if you want to make a trail,
I was there in the winter,
leave the rest.
Okay.
because you might have bodies in front of you.
Is that okay?
Fine with me. I'll
Okay.
do it. Well,
Okay. All right.
I will, anybody who calls, just send them to me.
it's fine. I don't want you to have that experience again. Because it wasn't good for either one of us. And you took the brunt of it, so I mean, I didn't even get a chance to defend your honor.
I'm really fine with it. I know how to bite my tongue.
Okay. So would you like some of those,
Oh, the fun ones.
All the same thing,
no, that,
couple of different ones.
that one is the
I mean, I
one.
don't want to take these from you if you need them. But now that we know,
Do you want-
better understanding of what's happening, oh, that would be
Small.
That's
the same
thing. Yeah. When I hear back from the tree mover, I'll let you know.
existing. This is one plan. This one with second, so.
Okay. So it could, yeah, if you just plan it through, that's what you do. It kind of It's in our head exactly what you're trying to do instead of us just mowing it, even though we still.
I know. I know, it's against your instincts. Repress those instincts.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, let's get back, let's deal with the minutes. Okay, I know that everybody's had a copy of the minutes. The only issue that I have is with St. Gabriel Meadows, okay? It's saying 50 acres, okay, it is not 50 acres. So we should really make that change, and I don't have that in front of me, but I will send it over to him. On the second page,
Number 9.
number 9.
There's one small typo, Nate. Item 8. Echo Hill. Appears landscaping or dumping stuff, Coco.
Okay. Well, there was one other thing here, and I guess I'm reading it, and I don't know whether this was really what was agreed to, is on the item 5, okay, which was the draft, okay. There was one item here, which was, okay, it's the last sentence here. The research explanation of Appendix H paragraph defined the conservation opportunity plan is and added, it was confirmed that the town engineer is allowed to respond to CPF members' questions directly. Is that correct?
I heard.
Yeah,
Just asking the question.
yeah.
Okay. I didn't know we came up with that, but I'm fine with it, okay? All right, and if there's nothing else here, the financials, so can we get a motion to accept the minutes as they are?
I'll make the motion, we accept the minutes.
Okay. A financial report, we are still, we are hopefully by next month we'll have a more in-depth, let me just take a look at this because I don't seem to have mine right here. Basically, what I guess the way to look at this is that this is only a one line. Usually we have a monthly breakdown so we can see where we're trending. But just to review it, okay, the starting balance was 1 million and our working account was 1,764,000. This past month we deposited 120,739. The interest on that account was 2,731. The checks paid out. I don't know the disbursement of that. I don't know how much goes to WQIP and how much goes, because I don't have that information. So that account has an ending balance of 1,867,000. The New York Class account has a starting balance of $9,645,212. The interest on that account was $37,255. Okay, the ending balance was $9,682,468. I haven't added both of these back up together, but we still have a commitment for WQIP, which I don't have in these documents, okay, which is approximately, it's got to be at least now approximately 3 million. So our balance in CPF is going to be 7 million. I don't know in the future how, with now April 1st started the housing 0.5%. Okay, so I don't know how this is all going to register. I don't know even at this point whether, I think we're looking to keep, as of the beginning of the year, to separate the funds. So whatever monies that are allocated to WQIP, I think they're going to have a separate account, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so they'll have their own interest-bearing account, and they'll deal with that in a separate thing. And I'm sure, since it's coming to CPF, all we'll have is a line item of what was given to WQIP, and the same thing, since CPF will be receiving, the checks aren't separate, I understand, it's going to be one check even for housing. So there'll be another line as to how much money is going into the housing fund as well.
In terms of expenses, though, if we have 3 accounts,
Each one will assume their own responsibility for that.
for expenditures.
Yes.
So how come we don't know?
At the beginning, it was always combined, okay? So
Right.
really, right now, okay, which is good, this has been something since the end of last year. So this way, WUQI, they're responsible for their money and their expenses and so forth. They'll have their own checking account. So when we look at our expenses, it will only reflect community present, our part of it. WQIP should have its own report in terms of their expenses, okay?
Right, my only question is, if they've already started this separate WQI account, how come we don't know? Isn't this all our money then?
Isn't this, no, this is not all of our money because it was all worked with one account. So every time there was a grant program, it came out of the general CPF fund.
Oh, so we did not transfer to WQI?
Not yet.
Okay,
Okay, that's what we're trying to do. And I think a good part of that is because of, I think they're waiting for the audit process to be completed. And this way they have starting balances that are correct so that in the future, when we have our meeting, we should be dealing with strictly CPF acquisitions, okay? And there'll be a line item of the monies that came into CPF and the transfer to WQIP. But we shouldn't have to, we're not going to be looking at these kind of transfers that are going on, okay? I think it's a better system.
Absolutely.
Okay? And this way, we should be able to have a breakdown at any given time of all of our properties, a breakdown of West Neck, what we've spent year to date, and
Yes.
so we know what we're dealing with.
I thought they already established it, that's why.
Well, the decision, it took a while because the decision was made to do it that way, but obviously with the bank accounts and all the stuff they needed.
Right, so everything's created, you know, the QuickBooks is separated, we have 2 companies in QuickBooks, we have 2 bank accounts, but we can't do anything until the end of the month when the auditors give us the year-end balance from 2022.
Okay,
So once they give us that, then the monies will start in QuickBooks and we'll have to go and update the last 4 months.
thank you.
In QuickBooks.
Okay,
And then for the housing, there'll be a third bank account, if you will, yes?
I'm not sure how Amber has that set up now, to be honest with you.
I know.
Yeah.
That is.
it should be anyway.
And I think that's the right way of doing it, okay? But we're pretty sure that by June's meeting, we should have all of this pretty separated now.
Correct, the audit will be done.
Okay.
We'll have the money started off.
Right, so we have opening balances, and then from that day
As of January
forward.
1st, correct.
Exactly, so let's, hopefully next month, we'll have our spreadsheets like we normally have, because of this money here, well, this is for 430. So 430, it means, okay, that these new funds of the 120,000, we don't know what is housing, and we don't know what is WQIP.
Correct, so as of to date, everything has been put in Excel with WQI and also with CPF. And unfortunately, Shelby will be out until next week. So when she comes back next week, we'll be able to get all of the Excel sheets, and those Excel sheets, those 4 months will go into QuickBooks.
So we won't be doing everything will be done through the QuickBooks program rather than manual Excels, I'm assuming,
There will
right?
be no more manual reporting.
That's good. That's good. So what I would like to do is sit down and go through some of these things. Like, I don't know the reimbursements from the audit costs you know, because back in last year, we paid 12,000, but part of it belonged. So I just want to see all those transfers as to how, you know, that monies are being dispersed, okay?
Right, so right now WQI owes for the audits 50% of all those invoices. I sent you the breakdown.
Yes, and I'm not going to get into that discussion today because I think it'll get too long and I think that needs to be a separate discussion, okay?
Okay, cool.
But we should be able to discuss it comes June.
That'd be great.
Not June, then July.
I brought up, okay, on the agenda, because we're really running short on time. I brought up the acquisition plan again, because I don't know where we are right now, BJ, so is there anything that you need from us at this day?
For the map.
The map.
And also to work on with you guys. I mean, I thought as part of a meeting, but I don't really know what your process would be to work on the priority list.
Okay, I guess what I don't know how much input our committee has in this development of this acquisition plan.
Well,
What I mean is that, you know, like some of the things we discussed, and it really wasn't in the minutes, we talked about this whole issue of, like, there was an item here that had to deal with lands preserved for recharge. The aquifer are important, but added to the mandate will be lands that would be potentially be used for well fields. That's something that's new in that whole acquisition plan. I brought up a part of that, you know, that I think that when you're dealing with that, I don't think, I felt that it should be a town matter as far as that land is concerned, not necessarily CPF. But I don't know who makes those decisions, okay?
Well, I think the town board will be adopting this, so ultimately what's in there will be what the town board wants in there, no? I mean, you know,
I'm just, we discussed it,
a discussion.
do you want me to give you a list of the items that we had? I think we talked about them at the last meeting, but.
If you wanted to, I thought I had the notes, but that's fine, if you want to give me a list, that's great.
Okay.
And we could, in our final draft that goes to the town board, you know, come to a work session, we could have a discussion. I think that, you know, on the one or two things that are sort of up for debate. How's that?
Did anybody else have any other comments on this acquisition plan that we haven't already discussed? I mean, I made a whole bunch of notes here, but I don't know if anybody had more.
Well, the question is, do we need another meeting just to do this?
We do.
Go through this?
Okay.
Because this is, obviously, it's an important document, so do we?
To go through it a second time.
Yeah, but also as a group without all the other components of the meeting, just a special meeting,
But
just.
do you want me to take the notes that you all gave me last meeting, update the draft?
Yeah, sure.
Bring it back? Great. Okay, so I'll do that, and whatever time you want to meet, I should be available.
Okay.
Just highlight them in yellow when you do it.
The changes.
I'll try, yeah, yeah.
If you want to have a separate meeting, that's fine.
Well,
We just mentioned that, yeah.
I don't know, maybe we don't need it, but
Well, let's get the changes.
If we meet in June and we have a West Neck plan.
right, that's gonna consume a lot
The
of,
Take up
financials.
time.
well, that's what I'm suggesting.
That's right.
We should have a separate meeting.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Financials are gonna be, I think, lengthy,
Okay.
you know, once you have it all detailed.
All right, let's, if you could do that, BJ, and then we
If
have
anybody
that.
wanted to send me, I'm sorry to interrupt, Gordon, but if anybody wanted to send me your notes, that you know, in case I forgot, overlooked, you know,
I
whatever.
just had some
That would be
typos.
so helpful.
Okay.
But
I'll
I'll
do
say
it.
this time, I mean.
Okay,
The ratings that we've been doing, I've sent them in. Did you got mine? Did you get anybody else?
Yeah,
So a couple.
I think.
So, there was ratings that were done in 2020. You know, quite a few, I don't know if you saw that.
I don't know if I did.
There was at least 8 of them.
Okay.
And as far as I know, that's the only ones that like actually digitalized, you know, on email, because the other ones before that were just kind of handed in.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
I think that, I think we can really, I guess, no, you're the liaison for WQIP. So that is something you still can, has some relativity to us, or should we just not be in the conversation?
Per se, if we're going to separate the accounts, I don't think we need to report it, but I actually have two interesting things that people might want to know. It's all public information if you've read the minutes of the meeting, but two things. A group on Menantic Creek is looking to get some money from WQI to monitor the far end of the creek. They've been working with Geodetic Survey or whoever it is. And so they're requesting a grant. They'll come with a formal presentation. It's not a lot of money, about $8,000, but to do multiple site water quality, to figure out exactly what's going on. Apparently there's going to be a dredging, I guess in October. So I think your suggestion was let's try to get it in as soon as possible so we see if there's a change once the dredging happens. And then the other thing is that Coco and Betty Bishop and Greg Toner have been working really hard on revising the whole application process to make it simpler or more user-friendly.
For the
IA approvals. So that was a huge project, and it's really come out well. So
Good.
That's it.
Still complicated, but
Yeah.
The only thing that I had is I just thought, I sent everybody a copy of at Sag Harbor. Comment on CPF, next for CPF, okay? I think it was a pretty interesting piece, okay? And, it basically has to deal with the amount of cash that the 5 Eastern towns have. Obviously, we're not in the same league as East Hampton and Southampton and so forth, but I thought the article was well written and just some of the things, they're looking to use CPF money for, and I think that's why this whole thing of having Fred Beal's advisory committee is really more important than ever before, because it brings to a conclusion of what you can and cannot do. And again, what I found interesting is this whole comment, okay, that was in this article, again, about, they feel it's a limitation of CPF, and they'd like to eliminate the fact that if the 20% money is not spent for the previous year, and it was in this article, it's caught my attention, that they want to eliminate it, that it goes back into the CPF fund, okay? I just thought it was an interesting comment, and we don't do it here because our town has encumbered it through a resolution that any monies left from the prior year carried over.
did I not also, and maybe the word general, did I not also read in there that they were talking about putting it back in the general fund? Now, maybe that meant the CPF general fund, or does that mean the town general
Oh,
fund?
it sounds like the general fund.
Yeah, which, so, here we go.
There are interesting things of what CPF is being used for. I mean, obviously the school, they were looking to partner with the school over in Sag Harbor. It didn't, they couldn't come together, I guess, to meet some of the CPF criteria. But again, they're in a little different situation than we are in because they have such large fund balances, okay? I mean, you can only imagine their fund balance, even with community housing, is going to be out just unbelievable. The thing that I always get hung up on, okay, is, and I sent out this piece to everybody, and it had to deal with how do you define community character? This is such a general, we're relating to community character. It's a very open conversation, okay? And I guess I'm hoping that the comprehensive plan sort of defines it a little bit. We talk about it in 64E, that community character is basically all water, okay? Meaning, and when I look at how other communities look at community character, they're talking about, again, this is out of this study that I felt was pretty important. They talked about community character, that a balanced mix of land uses be provided to avoid creating a bedroom community. Good comment, okay. This is that the development be designed around elements of existing community character. Again, we're using this community character. The land uses be compatible and sensitive to the city's existing rural and small town character and minimize, it goes into that, the neighborhood created compatible with small town character. So I guess that's, that obviously the comprehensive plan is dealing with this, but we talk about character all the time, and, we use it in CPF in a lot of different ways as well. I wish there was a better way of, dealing with it, but that's what we're.
State has a guidance for, not just on CPF, but on acquiring open space. And that's exactly what they talk about, and they give examples from other cities. I thought it was interesting.
I felt the same way, but in any event, just to close off, any new business that anybody wants to talk about, if I have a couple of items and then we can close out, okay? Anybody have any new business?
I actually have to be somewhere at 10.
Just give me just 1 second. We have established the Nick Moorhead Memorial is going to be on June the 12th, okay? I'll send a note out to everybody, okay? It's a Monday, it'll be in the afternoon.
Sunday is our meeting.
It's in the afternoon.
What's the day? I didn't.
June 12th, okay?
In the afternoon?
In the afternoon, and that is basically all I have. I have nothing for executive session this month for the first time in 8 years that I have been here, okay? So we'll hold that. There's nothing wrong with that. We can do that once in a while,
Yeah.
okay? All right, can I get a motion to close the meeting? Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't realize there were people listening in. Any questions from any people in the public here that are here today? Julie Lane from The Reporter.
Corey Raymond.
Morning. I just want to spend a little time speaking with Tim about the West Neck development. We're not going to do too much now, but as you move closer to a final plan, obviously we'll give it plenty of attention there at that point. But I did want to speak with him about what we can do at this stage. And I'll follow up with him offline.
I think, Julie, there's not a whole lot to report right now. We will have the next plan at the next meeting. And that will be much more concrete to write about.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Julie?
She's unmuted.
She's on mute, okay.
Julie, you're on mute.
Okay. I was just going to write basically that there was a brief discussion without going into detail, because at this end with, although I could see the outline, I didn't know specific areas that you were pointing to, so on and so forth. And I don't think it's important to go into those at this stage, but to simply say there is concern about getting word out publicly and that plans are being developed to do so that people could come and visit the site and have a look at what's planned and get an explanation out there to the public about why everything isn't completely developed at once. Does that seem to you, Tim?
Well, again, I think we'll have something really concrete in a couple of weeks. I don't think there's concern about educating the public. It's just we want to educate the public. We have two concepts. We seem to have settled on one, and that will be developed.
Okay, not a problem. We can hold off on that. we'll
Thank
be
you.
ready.
Anyone else from the public that really would like to speak at this time?
Pam?
Pam?
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Hope you're enjoying the nice spring weather. I just had one question about the acquisition plan, when you might reschedule a special meeting for that discussion and take comments prior to that. I really haven't had a good chance to take a look at it myself, but I think I got the impression you're going to try to do that before your June meeting.
We're probably going to devote a meeting just for that, I guess. We're basically going to make recommendations to the board, and again, the board is really going to develop the plan, and then, I'm looking at that wrong, BJ?
So, yeah, I thought that, you come to the board with kind of a final draft. I thought you were gonna develop the plan itself, but then we sort of ran out of time, so I got started on a rough draft, and I was really hoping for a lot of assistance in getting it to the final.
Well, the plan took a different, I say, it's a different format, meaning and I don't even know, in the CPF plan, we now have the WQIP involved, so I guess the WQIP makes their comments on it as well, is that?
Been done. That's been.
I'm sorry?
That's been done.
That's been done, okay. So we'll give you our comments as far as CPF is concerned, that's all we can do, okay? But we can,
And the priority list too, those are two specific things.
Right.
Within the plan.
right.
that I was-
I mean, the target list is not by number, okay? It's not by no, we don't have 1, 2, 3, and 4. In our executive sessions, we do talk about acquisitions, okay? And we have things in the tube or we're working on right now, okay, which are all within both the old plan and what the proposed new plan is. So there's nothing new here that we have going on, okay? And but anyhow, Pam, to answer your question, we're going to spend some time giving this information back, and I guess the town will. So how does the town open this up for a public discussion? The acquisition plan?
I hadn't given that step a thought yet.
Okay. I think that's what Pam was referring to, is that once the plan is developed.
Well, she's the public and she should definitely, Pam's input is always welcome.
Right, but I guess, so, but that, where we haven't gotten to the point where the board has actually proposed a specific plan.
Well, no, it's still in draft.
It's only a draft, but the public will have time to look at the draft before it's a resolution that will be adopted.
It'll be in the work session, sort of a normal way of making the sausage around here.
All right. I hope that answers your question, Pam.
Well, I guess part of that answer would be then, if there have been comments made by the WQI and you folks are going to put some comments in too, I think that those comments should be available to the public. See, I see this plan as part of the comprehensive plan going forward, and I think it's very important, given some of the discussions that are coming before the comprehensive plan moving forward at the end during the summer. Natural resources for one, and housing and zoning are coming up. So I think it would be nice that the public is aware of what you as a committee are saying, as an advisory board is saying, and the WQI. So that's the only thing. All right. So if there's a way to find out and you'll post something on the website, I'm sure I'll be alerted to when you might discuss it. Oh, that's
Yes, it is currently. It's available now. The draft acquisition plan is available.
The draft is.
It doesn't have the comments from the advisory boards. So we don't know what they're saying about it, what their concerns might be. And then rather than repeat ourselves, and we'd like to understand how the advisory.
Who's the advisory board, Pam? I don't understand.
Well, this advisory board, as well as the WQI.
That's right. You see there, I haven't updated yet from the last meeting.
No, I wasn't really looking for your update, BJ, just to see if we could actually see their comments that they have already submitted to the town about it. That's what I'm.
They haven't. We had a discussion.
Everything was done verbally, okay?
In a meeting.
In a meeting like this last month, okay? And what we'll do is I'll draft something that will be our comments on the plan, okay? And this way it will be part of the record.
That sounds good to me.
Okay, Gordon, see that's perfect. That's exactly what I'm sort of looking for. And just may I say one other thing, I just listened to the whole West Neck Preserve thing. I think there should be consideration given to more parking at that area.
Okay,
It appears to me it's going to be quite busy, and perhaps taking away some of the demonstration garden that Tim was talking about and maybe putting in more parking so you won't have trouble on those roadways there. Just something to consider.
okay, make note of it,
Thanks a
thank
lot.
you.
I think the demonstration garden is important.
Well, I think the point is slightly more parking. So when we were there the other day, there were 3 of us there and nobody else could park.
Yeah.
So,
At one of the roadways, like on West Neck, at the end of that trail, or the beginning of the trail at Nostrand.
Yeah.
Spots.
It's interesting because this was included, okay, as the plan was being developed, they had talked about educating the public with doing something similar to what we're proposing here. So it really matches perfectly, okay? Any other questions here?
Just to respond to Pam, the minutes for the April 17th meeting, really, there's a list here Coco took down of the comments we made.
Yes, I don't think the
Finalize them, but if she wants to know.
but some of the comments, like, I've had a whole lot of comments, okay? And obviously, I don't think all of them were in there.
Yeah.
But I think it's good that we present a letter to the town board, okay, of some of the thoughts, and I'll circulate it with folks here.
Yes, too.
Anybody else in the public really wants to speak at this particular time? Otherwise, we're going to call for a motion to close the meeting. I'm not hearing anybody and not seeing any hands raised, okay? Can I get a motion to close? Okay,
Second.
so be it, we're closed, thank you.